On my second channel, I've made tons of tutorials on how to fix your Apple Pay and Google Pay and even how to use these specific applications. Now it's actually time to go ahead and compare them and see which one is the better one. Now I'm definitely going to tell you, I really don't think there's a better one here. I think they're both very, very popular. I think they're both very, very prominent. Personally, I do use Apple Pay, but I also have used Google Pay before. And since I do use Android and iOS, mostly iOS, I'll definitely say there really isn't that big of a difference. It just depends. Do you have Android? Do you have iOS? You can even, I think, get Google Pay on an iOS device. But regardless, you do have the capability of using either Google Pay or Apple Pay, whichever way you want to. And I would definitely say there's way more, similarities than differences. However, there are sometimes some few advantages that Google has within Google Pay, and there's also advantages with Apple Pay as well. Now, starting off with the, exterior of both these softwares, they both pretty much come pre-installed with your device. So if you're using an Android or iOS, most of the time you're going to be able to use Apple Pay and, Google Pay. Setting up your credit card and everything is essentially the same exact process on both. If your credit card doesn't work on one, it's really not going to work on the other either for the most part. So in my opinion, if you're trying to go ahead and find, the most smoothest, service of getting set up from point A to point B, they're both relatively the same. There really isn't a specific device there's not really a service that is way faster or way smoother than the other one. And like I said, if it doesn't work on one, it's not going to work on the other. Now, both of these specific services do allow, NFC payments. So you can go ahead and, pay for certain things if you're going to a store, if you're going to a restaurant. They both, if they actually take Apple Pay, they will pretty much also take Google Pay as well. Since it's a little NFC chip inside, it's the same type of, technology behind it. However, there are a few more there's been some more updates that, Apple has been doing a little bit between peer-to-peer. So if you're going through, and if you actually want to go and accept contactless payments, you do have a little bit more capability that Apple has been putting in within Apple Pay recently if you have an iPhone XS or newer. However, there's still apps like, you can still send money through, Apple Pay or Google Pay if you want to as well. So that's another kind of thing. You can always use apps like Venmo or, Cash App or different things like that too. Now, both of these services do support a few different ways of going through and, kind of securing your specific payment. So if you want to go ahead and if you make your way over to a store of some sort, you can go ahead and pull up Apple Pay by, double clicking on the side of the power button, or you can double click on the Touch ID sensor on the bottom. With an Android phone, there's a few ways you can actually go and pull it up because there's so many different Android phones out there, and there's so many different biometric ways to go ahead and, authenticate your purchase. So with iPhones, you can use Face ID and Touch ID. I think you can use your passcode as well if nothing else works. With a Google Pay device, it's pretty much the same exact thing. You can do Face, you can do Touch ID, or, the fingerprint, and you can do a PIN as well if you prefer it that way. So definitely something to, keep in mind for sure. I will say I do like both because they both work very, very well with the credit cards that I use. Meaning, if I make a purchase with Apple Pay, it's going to go ahead and send me a notification if I have that set up, and it's going to go ahead and notify me that I made a purchase. And sometimes with the credit card, I don't really get that, which is very strange. If I just swipe my credit card, I guess depending on where I go, I don't really get notified. Both these systems notify me sometimes, which is cool. And also, if I see any unauthorized purchases, I like knowing that I have a service like Apple Pay or Google Pay. That way I can go ahead and if I see something that goes wrong, I can go ahead and either, see in-app if there's issues. If not, I can just, make my way over to my, credit card website and cancel that credit card. But I probably would have never known had I not been notified. Now, on top of that, they both have, Google Wallet and Apple Wallet as well. And they're both kind of tied in very well too. So besides the payment, option, you can always store credit cards and, gift cards and different things like that as well. And if you use an Apple credit card, the new ones that they made, well, it may make a little bit more advantage to use Apple Pay because there's a lot of different incentives to go down that route. But I've also seen a lot of incentives with Google Pay as well, and I've seen a lot of people talk about that too. Now, both of these specific payment services do not have any fees, so that is a really, really good thing. However, Apple Pay does support, a credit card that they make. Google does not have a credit card they made yet. They probably will end up doing one in the future. So when it kind of comes down to it, in my opinion, I think, like I said, that there really isn't that crazy big of an advantage of going to Apple Pay or Google Pay unless you do actually use an Apple credit card. Then it would make a little bit more sense to use Apple Pay over Google Pay. But whenever I use any of these softwares, I really don't notice that big of differences. I think they're way more similar than not. And like I said, I think something like Google Pay is still really cool, and they both work very seamless. But there's not really an advantage if you're not using a credit card from Apple. There's not really an advantage of using one over the other. There's tons of features within Google Pay that I probably didn't hit on, and there's tons of features within Apple Pay that I didn't really hit on either. But when I think about it, you can still use payments on your phones. You can still pay for things using a smartwatch. There's a lot of capability here, so I'll definitely say when it comes down to it, I'm probably going to stick with Apple Pay, but it's really not that much better or way more different than Google Pay in my opinion. So that kind of covers it. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.